Jax's revenge domain.
He said I was essentially a glorified dock supervisor with outdated protocols. That's what Preston Manning told me on a Tuesday morning in my own office. Well, it was my office for 17 years. His for about 10 weeks, but he was the one standing and I was the one being told to pack up, so I guess that made it his. My name is Garrett Thornton. Most people call me Mac. I'm 49 years old, and until that Tuesday morning, I'd spent the last 17 years making sure $14 billion in cargo moved through Pacific Gateway Port Authority without the people in charge understanding how any of it actually worked. The marine layer was sitting heavy that morning, everything gray and muffled. The container cranes disappeared above 100 feet, swallowed up into nothing. You couldn't see the breakwater, could barely make out the end of the dock apron. The fog dampened everything. Crane alarms, container locks, tugboat horns echoing off the water like the whole port was holding its breath. I was at my desk checking barometric pressure readings on 3 monitors. Tide charts pinned to the wall behind me. Whiteboard with berth assignments in my handwriting. My radio squelch adjusted to 2.3 for optimal signal clarity. Coffee in my Navy Exchange thermos, bought in San Diego the day I retired after 20 years. Black, strong enough to wake the dead. Preston walked in at 7:48 a.m. without knocking. Had an HR woman behind him holding a tablet, looking like she wanted to be anywhere else on Earth. Preston didn't sit down. Stood across from my desk in his $200 sneakers and slim-fit jacket, checking his Apple Watch twice before he even spoke. Garrett, he said, we're transitioning to a data-driven automated scheduling platform. Your position has been optimized out. He said it like he was reading from a script. Any modern terminal runs on scheduling software. What we can't justify is paying directors' salary for what's essentially a glorified dock supervisor with outdated protocols. Then he said the line I'll never forget. We're replacing manual processes that should have been digitized 10 years ago. The HR woman's eyes dropped to her tablet, stayed there. I looked at Preston for about 3 seconds, didn't argue, just picked up my pocket logbook from the desk, small black cover, worn soft at the edges. 17 years of shorthand. Berth numbers, vessel names abbreviated to 3 letters, tide windows, crane rotations, a language only I could read. Slid it into my back pocket. Left my badge on the desk, understood. Before Pacific Gateway, I spent 20 years in the Navy, Operations Specialist E8 Senior Chief. My job was fleet coordination in real time, keeping vessels separated in waterways where a miscalculation didn't mean a late delivery. It meant people died. I did 2 deployments in the Persian Gulf, 1 tour through the Strait of Hormuz after USS Cole got hit in 2000. That bombing changed everything about how we think about port security. Most congested shipping channel on the planet, 12 miles wide. Margin for error measured in minutes and feet. I coordinated tankers and destroyers through that corridor knowing that one mistake could start a war. When I separated at 38, I brought those skills to civilian maritime work. Spent 4 years with various shipping contractors, learning the commercial side. Port security consulting after 9/11, maritime logistics for defense contractors, building the bridge between military precision and civilian operations. Pacific Gateway hired me at 32 because I could look at a harbor full of container ships and see the tactical formation. Which vessel needs which berth at which tide, which cranes available, which customs officer processes faster on Wednesday mornings, which shift foreman runs his crew 12% better when the Dodgers win. I could sequence 40 container ships simultaneously from memory. Not from software, not from spreadsheets. From 17 years of watching, listening, remembering. 200 shipping dispatchers across 12 countries. I knew their names, their patterns, their habits. Marcus in Shanghai underestimates transit time by 4 hours every shipment. Johansson in Rotterdam won't book a Tuesday because he lost a ship on a Tuesday 15 years ago. Still superstitious about it. The pilot boat captains at Pacific Gateway respond faster if you call them by their first names and ask about their families before you ask them to move a ship. None of this was documented, never needed to be. I was always there. That port was my battle rhythm for 17 years. Crane alarms. That low repeating klaxon you hear in your sleep, container locks clanging into place, steel on steel. Deep thrum of a Panamax engine reverberating through the dock and into your chest. Tugboat horns echoing off the breakwater. Marine radio chatter from the speaker mounted behind my desk. Salt air and bunker fuel and diesel exhaust from yard tractors. Metallic smell of wet steel containers in morning fog. That was my operational environment. Every day, I built the system that kept it moving, and I paid for it. Last spring, my son Andrew got accepted to the Coast Guard Academy. 18 years old, continuing the family tradition. The acceptance call came during a vessel grounding emergency that kept me in operations until the next morning. Susan, my wife, texted me a photo of Andrew holding his acceptance letter. I was looking at a radar screen when my boy achieved his dream. I still have that photo. Look at it more than I should. Susan and I have been married 22 years. Met her when I was stationed in San Diego. She's worked maritime supply chain her whole adult life, knows the 3 a.m. phone calls, knows the holidays lost to shipping emergencies. She told me 5 years ago I should leave Pacific Gateway. I didn't listen. She knew what loyalty meant in a military family. She also knew when it was being wasted on people who didn't return it. Now let me tell you about Preston Manning. 27 years old, Stanford MBA, class of 2023. Before Pacific Gateway, he spent 8 months as a logistics consultant at Summit Analytics. Their main clients were meal delivery companies and regional couriers. The most complex vessel Preston had ever coordinated was a DoorDash driver. His father is Charles Manning, chairman of the Pacific Gateway Board of Directors. Charles created the vice president of operations position specifically for Preston. The position didn't exist before him. It was invented to put a 27-year-old with soft hands and zero maritime experience in a chair above mine. Preston arrived 10 weeks before he fired me. First thing he did was present to the board. Pacific Gateway 2.0 Digital First Terminal Operations, 43 slides. Words like scalable, data-driven, automated throughput, legacy processes. He ordered new scheduling software. 1.3 million platform designed for regional warehouses, not deep water container terminals. Never walked the docks, never sat in operations during a midnight vessel surge, never asked how the current system worked, never asked because he assumed there was nothing to ask. He looked at my operation and saw inefficiency. I looked at his software and saw disaster. After he fired me, Preston sent a company-wide email. Exciting changes ahead. Pacific Gateway is entering the next era of logistics technology. He posted on LinkedIn the same day. Day 1 of Pacific Gateway's digital transformation. Proud to lead the charge. Innovation, logistics. That evening, sitting in my truck in the parking lot, my phone buzzed. Forwarded email from Roy Whitfield, senior berth supervisor, 15 years alongside me. Former merchant marine. Roy had gotten hold of an email Preston sent to the board 3 days before the firing. Subject line: Operational Restructuring Phase 1. Most of it was buzzwords, but one line stopped me cold. We're paying directors salary for what's essentially a glorified dock supervisor with outdated protocols. Glorified dock supervisor. I read it twice. Set the phone down next to my tide charts. Looked out through the windshield at the fog swallowing the cranes. Something shifted, not anger. I'd been angry before. This was tactical clarity, the kind that doesn't burn hot, just settles cold and precise. Started the engine. I drove home that night and didn't say much. Susan knew. She always knows. Put a plate in front of me and sat across the table and waited. Andrew came through the kitchen around 9, saw my face, paused in the doorway. "You okay, Dad?" "Yeah." He looked at me longer than an 18-year-old usually looks at his father, then nodded and went upstairs. Smart kid knows when to leave a room. Susan waited until we heard his door close. "They fired you." "Yeah, Preston." She set her coffee down. Didn't touch it again. "What's the plan?" "Working on it." Wednesday, I sat at the kitchen table with my logbook open. 17 years of shorthand, berth numbers, tide windows, crane assignments. To anyone else, it looked like hieroglyphics. To me, it was the nervous system of the third largest container terminal on the West Coast. Thursday morning, my phone rang. Paul Hernandez, executive director of the Port of Long Beach. 58 years old, former Navy captain, 24 years including Fleet Logistics Command in the Persian Gulf. Our paths crossed in the Navy. Different ships, same operational theater. For 6 years running, Paul had asked me the same question at the Pacific Maritime Conference. Same polite refusal every year. I liked Pacific Gateway. Thought loyalty was a two-way street. Paul didn't waste time. "Mac, I've been asking you the same question for 6 years. Always got the same answer. This time I need different." He'd heard, of course he'd heard, maritime world on the West Coast is small. Everybody knows everybody. Chief Operations Officer, Port of Long Beach, full operational authority, no political appointees in your chain, $21 million over 5 years. You run the terminal. I handle the politics, $21 million. I was quiet for a long time, long enough that Paul said, "You still there? I'm here. Give me 48 hours. Susan and I talked it through at the same kitchen table where we'd made every major decision for 22 years. Same view of the harbor through the window. I laid out Paul's offer, you asking permission or just being polite, she said. "What took you so long?" I told Paul the next morning. I started at Long Beach 2 weeks later. They gave me an office overlooking the ship channel. From that window, I could see the vessels moving through. Could see the ones that weren't. My first week, I sat at that desk with my logbook beside me and started making calls. Not to corporate offices or logistics VPs. To the dispatchers, the 200 people I'd talked to almost daily for 17 years. The ones who decide on a practical level which port gets which ship. Corporate can sign any contract they want, but the dispatcher is the one who picks up the phone at 2 a.m. when a vessel's ETA shifts by 6 hours, and he's the one who decides whether to reroute based on whether he trusts the voice on the other end. They trusted me, always had, not Pacific Gateway me. Marcus, it's Mac. I'm at Long Beach now. Same radio frequency, same coordination protocols. Marcus called back in 40 minutes. Johansson in Rotterdam called the next day. Didn't ask about rates, just said, about time you went somewhere that appreciated what you do. One by one, they called back. Within 60 days, $22 billion in annual cargo commitments had been redirected to Long Beach. Not because we offered better rates, because when they called my frequency, I answered. I remembered their vessel draft, their crew rotation, their customs requirements. The system moved with me. While I was building up Long Beach, Pacific Gateway was falling apart. Roy Whitfield kept me updated. Short texts, no commentary needed. Day 1, automated platform assigned 2 Panamax vessels to the same berth at the same tide window. Roy caught it manually before the pilots launched. Day 3, crane allocation conflicts. Software didn't know which cranes were down for maintenance. 3-hour delay cascaded into 6. 2 vessels missed their tide window. Day 5, Longshoremen's Union filed a grievance. Software ignored the shift rotation system I'd negotiated over 17 years. Work slowdown began. By day 10, vessel queue growing. Ships I would have sequenced in rolling formation sat burning fuel at anchor, accruing fees. Day 15, 47 ships at anchor. Marine radio channels were chaos. Harbor pilots requesting priority, vessel masters demanding berth assignments, Coast Guard issuing traffic advisories. Preston held an emergency meeting, blamed integration issues, said the word scalable 6 times. By month's end, $4.7 billion in cargo rerouted away from Pacific Gateway. Department of Transportation opened a supply chain disruption review. Throughput in freefall. Roy texted me on a Thursday night, 3 weeks in. They brought in 2 consultants. Neither lasted a week. One asked me what a bollard was. A bollard, the steel post you tie a ship to. That's where they were. I was sitting at my desk at Long Beach when I read Roy's text, my logbook open beside me. The harbor outside my window full of ships, cranes working, straddle carriers moving, the low pulse of a container terminal doing what it's supposed to do. My phone rang, dispatcher in Shanghai, someone I'd talked to every Tuesday for 11 years. We went over his vessel schedule for the next 2 weeks, adjusted a berth window, then he told me his daughter had started her 2nd year at university. Civil engineering, I'd asked about her last month. He remembered that I'd asked. We laughed about something. I don't remember what. It didn't matter. What mattered was the sound of a harbor working, the hum of a phone call with someone who trusted me for a decade, and the knowledge that somewhere 20 miles south, a man with a Stanford MBA and $200 sneakers was staring at a screen full of red alerts, trying to figure out why ships wouldn't come to a port that had forgotten the only thing that ever made them come. A man who answers the radio. The board convened emergency session 67 days after Preston fired me. Diana Foster, the CFO, presented the numbers without emotion. She didn't need emotion. The numbers were emotional enough. 73% throughput reduction, $4.7 billion rerouted. 3 major shipping lines had terminated contracts. Not suspended, terminated. Pacific Gateway had dropped out of the top 3 West Coast terminal rankings for the first time in its history. Department of Transportation supply chain review had escalated to federal oversight proceedings. The board turned on Charles Manning. 7 commissioners who'd rubber-stamped Preston's position, who'd approved the $2.3 million software purchase. They looked at Charles and saw the man who'd handed his 27-year-old son the controls of a $14 billion operation. Charles didn't fight. He couldn't. Every decision that led to this moment had his fingerprints on it. Charles fired Preston that week. Quiet firing. No company email, no LinkedIn post. Preston cleaned out his office on a Friday afternoon. Roy watched from the dock, said he carried 1 small box, hadn't accumulated much in 10 weeks. 2 weeks later, Pacific Gateway was placed under federal oversight. Debt administrator arrived Monday morning, toured operations, reviewed the software, then called a meeting with remaining senior staff. His first question, who was running vessel coordination before the software? Everyone pointed at my empty chair. Administrator closed his notebook. So you fired your operating system and replaced it with a warehouse app. Understood. 14 months after I started at Long Beach, we surpassed Pacific Gateway's all-time peak throughput, not their current numbers. Their best year ever, with me running operations. The numbers told the story. $8.2 billion in redirected cargo. Market share up 34%. Roy Whitfield came over within 4 months, called me on a Sunday. I'm done watching that place die. You got room? I had room. Always had room for Roy. The Pacific Maritime Conference invited me to keynote their annual meeting. I declined. I don't need a stage. The dispatchers know where I am. That's the only audience that matters. 6 weeks after Preston's firing, my phone rang. Charles Manning. I was in my office overlooking the channel. 3 vessels moving through, 4th being guided to berth. Operations center down the hall had my people on headsets talking to dispatchers in 4 time zones. Charles sounded old, older than his 63 years. The kind of old that arrives when you realize you destroyed something that took decades to build. Mac, would you consider consulting during the federal oversight transition? We need someone who understands the systems. We'll pay whatever you ask. I was quiet for 3 seconds. Could hear him breathing. I appreciate the call, Charles, but I've made commitments here. I don't break those. Click. 7 words. 14 months of consequence packed into 7 words. He'd had 17 years of my commitments and threw them away because his son called me a glorified dock supervisor. Now he was asking for them back. Preston Manning, last I heard, joined a supply chain startup in Austin junior position. The startup folded within a year. He's currently between positions. His LinkedIn still says former VP Operations, Pacific Gateway Port Authority. The dates are conspicuously short. Anyone in maritime who sees that resume knows exactly what happened. The man who fired Mac Thornton and killed a port. Last Saturday, Andrew had his first Liberty weekend from the academy, came home in his dress uniform looking like a sailor. We drove to the harbor overlook where you can see both ports. Long Beach busy with traffic, cranes working. Pacific Gateway still under federal management, half the berths empty. Dad, he said, did you really coordinate all that from memory? I handed him my logbook. Let him flip through 17 years of shorthand. Tide times, berth assignments, vessel drafts. A language he couldn't read but could recognize as something real. It's not memory, son. It's relationships. Those dispatchers don't call because they need a berth. They call because they trust the voice on the other end. Andrew nodded, looking at the harbor. Getting ready to be part of something bigger than himself, that's what the Coast Guard will teach you. Navy taught me tactics. The port taught me that tactics don't work without trust. The afternoon sun was breaking through the marine layer. Golden light on the water. Cranes working against a clear sky. My cranes now, the steady rhythm of a port that runs because someone answers the radio when it matters. Susan joined us at the Overlook, coffee in hand. She'd taken the afternoon off from Kessler Marine. First Saturday in months we'd all been together without someone's phone ringing. Remember when you said I should leave Pacific Gateway? I asked her. 5 years too late, but who's counting, she said. We stood there watching the harbor, 3 generations understanding different parts of the same thing. Andrew seeing his future in the ships moving through the channel. Susan seeing the stability we'd built through decades of 3 a.m. phone calls and missed dinners. Me seeing the proof that some things can't be automated. That evening, my phone buzzed. Text from Roy. Long Beach hit another throughput record today. Preston's replacement at Pacific Gateway lasted 6 weeks. They're on consultant number 4. I showed Susan the text. She smiled and went back to her book. You're not even surprised, I said. Mac, I've been married to you for 22 years. I know what you're worth. I just waited for everyone else to figure it out. Andrew came downstairs in civilian clothes, gym bag over his shoulder. Weekend Liberty was over. Time to head back to the academy. Drive safe, Susan said. Call when you get there. Yes, ma'am. He hugged his mother, shook my hand like a sailor. Thanks for showing me the harbor, Dad. I get it now. Get what? Why you couldn't leave. It wasn't just a job. It was your ship. Smart kid, going to make a fine officer. After Andrew left, Susan and I sat on the porch overlooking the harbor. Lights coming on across the water. Container ships moving through the channel like slow constellations. Any regrets? She asked. About leaving Pacific Gateway? None? About staying so long? I thought about that. 17 years of building something that Preston destroyed in 10 weeks. All those missed dinners, weekend emergencies, holidays spent in the operations center, no regrets about the work. Maybe regrets about not trusting your judgment sooner. She leaned against my shoulder. Well, you learned. Better late than never. The fog was starting to roll in from the ocean. Same marine layer that had been there the morning Preston fired me, but now it looked different. Not something that muffled and hid things, just part of the rhythm of living near the water. You know what they say about loyalty being a two-way street? Sometimes it takes getting fired by a 27-year-old with an MBA to realize you've been driving the wrong direction for years. If you've ever built something with your hands and watched someone with a spreadsheet try to improve it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The good news is this: competence has a way of finding its value, even when the people in charge can't see it. Subscribe if you want to hear more stories about what happens when experience meets disruption. And remember, they can automate the schedule, but they can't automate the handshake.